Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, the rock and roll doc has its expected conventions and beats to it that, you can see coming from a mile away, but when someone manages to do something a little different and give us a real portrait into who an artist is as a person, then I think you've got something special on your hands. And you know what? If you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do because, let's face it, you're listening right now. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button. Give us the old 5-star rating pretty much on any podcast service out there. We're available on all your favorites like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and plus we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel, so if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and we're on the Letterboxd for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because, if we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please, please pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a good one if you're cozying in for the holiday break and want to watch a really interesting documentary available on the Apple Plus TV streaming service. We got a good one for you. It is, it's called Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me. And it highlights the years, after she hits her peak and hits these unimaginable levels of stardom, but health issues and personal drama issues turn her life upside down into a real period of darkness. And it is from the director of Madonna, Truth or Dare, which was an excellent documentary of its own right. And this person's name is Alek Keshishian. I apologize if I butchered that, but it's really a great film that shows Selena's journey to sort of get back to understanding what it means to be a person and an artist. And it's really tastefully and sensitively well done. We get a real sense of Selena as a person, which I think is probably the important thing at the end of the day. And she comes off fantastic. And I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of hers before, but after watching this doc, I think I kind of am now. But we had this chance to sit down and talk with Alek about doing the job and how it turned into this film, and just sort of his relationship with Selena, and so very much more. But go check out Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me, which is available streaming now on the Apple TV Plus streaming service. But first, as always, enjoy our talk with Alek, because between you and me, it's a pretty good one. First and foremost, man, just thank you so much for the time today. And congratulations on the film. I loved it.
Oh, thank you so much, David.
Now, I guess my first question is, walk me through sort of the origin of where you knew everything was going to pivot. I would imagine it's when Selena really started having problems and she had to shut down the tour. Because, were you there initially just to sort of document the tour?
That's exactly right. At first, she just reached out to me to see if I would do a tour doc, and I kind of hesitated. I said, I'm not sure that I want to do a tour doc. I said, but, let's give it a 2-week test run. Because the way I shoot, I kind of need access to everything. And I shoot cinema verite. So she said, okay, I'll give you access. And she was true to her word, and I was shooting incredible stuff. But I realized that there was a lot of emotional stuff going on there. And she's 24, and my cameras are there. And I just thought, I don't think the time's right now for her to do this. And I saw the writing on the wall, in a sense. So we kind of mutually agreed to stop filming. And in 2019, she came back. We remained friends, and I certainly was following her various situations. And when she got out of the mental health facility early in 2019. We had dinner, and she was just like a fragile bird, and my heart went out to her. And she said, at the end of the year, the one thing I'm looking forward to is going to Kenya to see these two schools I've helped fund, just for this charity. Would you be willing to shoot that and just put it on my website? And I said, of course, I would do anything for you. And so we started with that intention. And I asked if I could shoot a couple of days in LA just now to see what your life's like now. And as I started, those 2 days became 3, became a week, became, a couple of months. I started realizing that there was a larger story here that somehow gave context to some of the film that I had gotten in 2016, which was to see her journey through the diagnosis and into kind of finding a purpose in her life again.
For sure. For sure. I mean, something that really struck me was just, I was very, refreshingly so, but surprised to see her willingness to sort of display that fragility. I mean, was that a hard sell, or was that something she was very much wanted to do, to be able to sort of share her story?
That took time. Some of those, well, in 2016, you have that breakdown in her dressing room, and that was, third day of filming, and I was in that dressing room before anyone else was, with my camera people, and I was talking to her for 5 minutes, and I said, do you want me to get rid of the cameras? And she just, through her tears, went, no, it's okay. And I just shot that scene. The next really raw scene, was the culmination of many months of filming, where she and I had formed an incredibly close bond, and I was just alone with my camera. I was the only person there, and I was trying to comfort her. But I said, can I film this? And by that point, we both kind of knew the purpose of the film was to let people in and to let people know that, that they could identify with her for the pain, physical pain in that scene that she's feeling, as well as the emotional. So, yeah, I think it was built on a trust and on kind of a spiritual bond that she and I had formed.
How do you engender that kind of trust as a filmmaker? I mean, is it just as simple as time, or is there more to it?
I seem to have done it now with 2 pretty remarkable women, and I would say that it's probably because I lead first with my heart, just as a human being. I've never wanted to make a film for the sake of making a film and hurting somebody that I'm filming by doing so. And that's incredibly tricky in the mental health space, because my obligation, I think, first is as a human being to her. And I think they maybe sense that. They maybe sense that I'm not really, like, even when I was making this film, I said, I don't know if this is a film that will ever see the light of day. But if it does, if we feel it can help someone, and if you're behind it, then so be it. And I think that that's what makes them trust me, is that sense that they're not going to be exploited by me, and that I'm not looking to, score an easy dollar off of them. And I think that's partially just my mentality, and probably also explains why I do so few films, because that's my kind of philosophy in life.
No, but I mean, that speaks to the strength as well, because I mean, obviously, while you're going to frame it a little bit about her music, because that's how she expresses herself, there isn't necessarily any of that sort of, like you say, tour doc gloss that, people have come to expect. This comes off very raw and very sort of honest and open. And I mean, for you, especially with the time that you've had with Selena, I mean, is there anything sort of in there that maybe kind of surprised you, sort of in the core of it all? Because I mean, I, for one, just as someone who's seen her on TV and music, I was so struck by her going back to her hometown and just sort of engaging with so many people. Like, I thought that was such a beautiful thing.
I think that those are the moments where I really experience just how special she is as a human being, because she really comes to life in those encounters with real average people. And that is her lifeblood. And I saw that in the experience when she went to McLean's Hospital, and she was the last person to leave that ballroom. Um, most stars that I know would have just come in right before the award, gotten the award, and rushed off stage. And she spent 6 hours there talking to each one of those young people who came to speak to her, or parents of young people, or the staff and the faculty at McLean's. And that's what brings life to her and joy to her, is hugging each individual fan, not just like quickly jotting her name, but there's just something about her being that seems to come to life when she's connecting with people.
Well, and I mean, I think that's something that this really highlighted quite well, is because, I mean, obviously with other artists, we can hear about how much fan support means to them, but I mean, I think you captured it actually quite beautifully here. And I mean, and that was the thing that really stood out for me, because I mean, even in the beginning of the film, when they mention are the meet and greets too much, it's like, oh, of course they're too much, but you love doing them, like
I love,
it
yeah.
fuels you.
I mean, that was the funniest thing. Most I think celebrities do meet and greets because they have to. And with Selena, they literally are the fuel that she uses to recharge herself, because she experiences each one of those individual encounters as if it was the most important person in the world. And I think that's what her fans feel. And she does have that in her real life. The way she treats anybody that she encounters is with such human dignity and kindness, that I did fall in love with her. I didn't know so much about her. I'm older than she is, obviously, but she's a remarkable human being.
No, I mean, I'm curious because, and just to start putting a bow on this, because obviously people know of, the film with Madonna and the work you did there. But I'm kind of curious, are there parallels between the two? Because I mean, even as I see Madonna and I see Selena, as different as they are, there are still some very sort of interesting parallels in terms of who they are, sort of, especially on the pop culture landscape.
I think, it's interesting. I think when I did the Madonna doc, it was obviously a very different time, but she was one of the most famous people in the world. And Selena today eclipses most others in terms of sheer number of followers,
Yeah.
across all social media platforms. But what was revolutionary in Madonna's time and brave was what she was trying to do for LGBTQ communities,
Yeah.
for women's sexual freedom and freedom of expression. And yet, for today's time and age, I was lucky that I was working with Selena, who was brave enough to really reveal that raw pain that I think so much of the world can recognize. And so many people are suffering without their voices being heard. And I think, I was very blessed to get to work with these two women, but they are kind of flip sides of the same coin. Madonna loved her celebrity and what that brought to her, and that was like an expression of bravado, in a sense, like she was saying, this is me, all of me, take it or leave it, right? Which was revolutionary. And Selena, in a much more vulnerable way, as a very different human being, obviously, is saying, this is all of me, I'm learning to accept it and be okay with it. And I think in doing so, she's hopefully giving other people a chance to kind of heal as well.
And I mean, as she so beautifully said, I mean, tragically, but beautifully says towards the beginning, like, when will it enough just to be me? And I
Yeah.
mean, and that's a struggle that so many people have. And I think you've really highlighted that in this film. And I mean, I think it's an important piece of work. And I mean, I'm glad you were behind it. And I mean, congratulations to you. And I mean, congratulations to her, really, to be able to be willing to share this story. And I'm glad you were there to document it. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much, David.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.